Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Before we start, subscribe and share the video so you don't miss anything. Today, the spotlight is back on Yaman because the media are fired up again. This time, not because of a project, but because of his personal life. After his breakup with Sarah Bluma, whom he dated for about half a year, a wave of comments began about how he is dealing with the blow. People talk about emotional wounds, his need to isolate himself, constant gym workouts, a possible move abroad, and very harsh posts on social media. And of course, the usual questions popped up again. Hasn't he gotten over the separation? Or was such an extreme reaction really necessary? But here, someone unexpected and very forceful steps in. His mother, Yaman. According to what's being said, she couldn't keep listening to criticism from those around him and snapped with a sentence that sums it all up. Nobody has the right to interfere in the way her son handles his problems. She basically said, "You don't know his life. You don't know what he's going through. Everyone should mind their own business." She even added that Can is a strong man, capable of deciding for himself, and doesn't need anyone to guide him. And why so much tension? Because since the breakup became public, Can has shown clear signs of pain. People mention messages full of disappointment, the feeling of having been betrayed, of trust shattered like never before. That's why his routine has turned into almost a refuge. Hours at the gym, a packed schedule, silence on social media at times, and every now and then bursts of anger. For his mother, none of that is pointless aggressiveness, but part of a healing process. Her stance is simple. You can't pressure someone while they're trying to recover. There's another thing to understand. Even if Can looks strong and independent, his family bond is very solid. Fans have known that for years, and Gulden's reaction has been read as pure maternal instinct. Some say he's already an adult, that harshness wasn't necessary. But others reply that she isn't trying to calm the tabloids, she's protecting her son's peace of mind. And here comes the most intriguing part. Will this personal setback turn into a major shift in his career? Because while his emotional state is being discussed, rumors about big professional moves are starting to spread. Can reportedly told his closest circle that now he wants to focus only on work, trust his own achievements, and not people. There are even whispers that he's secretly negotiating a high-impact international project. His silence on social media and distant attitude might not be a breakdown, but serious preparation. Someone from a digital platform has hinted that Can is being considered for a project with global reach, and that his energy and discipline put him on the front line. In short, the controversy isn't fading, it's growing. Followers are divided. Some defend his right to live his grief in his own way. Others think he should control his anger better. But his mother's response has been a wall, total defense against criticism. Now, there's only one big question. How will Yaman come out of this storm? Because if these stories teach us anything, it's that sometimes pain produces a stronger, more mature, even more brilliant version of a star. And with a mother this firm by his side, this story still has a lot to reveal. When I read the same comments applied to this story, it becomes clear to me that Demet Özdemir often gets trapped in a narrative she didn't choose, being the other half of a famous duo. And honestly, that feels unfair, because Demet isn't an extension of the Yaman phenomenon, nor a footnote to Erkenci Kuş. She is an actress who, with her strengths and limits, has built her own career. especially within a cultural and media environment where women are forgiven less and demanded more. Deep down, when people keep talking about the two of them, I feel that what's often being debated is Demet's right to exist as an independent figure, without having to justify it every 2 steps. I'm struck by the quiet resilience Demet has had to develop. Ken moves like a hurricane. He sparks huge reactions, for better or worse. Demet, on the other hand, feels more like water to me. She doesn't make as much noise, but over time, she soaks into everything. That explains why part of the audience keeps tying her to the past, as if her best version were frozen in that era. But I don't see it that way. What I see is an actress trying to diversify, step out of the light romantic comedy mold and test other tones. It doesn't always come out perfectly, sure, but the effort to grow is visible. And I find it curious how she is judged with a severity that isn't always applied to her male colleagues in the same way. The comments you shared say a lot about Turkey as a difficult, even hostile context for certain personal freedoms and for a more open view of love or public life. I can't verify every claim, but I do understand the feeling behind them. The Turkish environment towards celebrities is especially tough, and toward famous women, it is even tougher. Ken gets punished for Europeanizing himself. Demet, if she steps even half a centimeter outside the expected script, gets hit by a wave of moralism, gossip, and suspicion. That makes me think that much of the pressure on her isn't artistic, but social. The public doesn't just want to see what role she plays, but also how she behaves, who she dates, what she hints at, what she doesn't, whether she was too much or not enough. It's exhausting surveillance. That's why it bothers me a bit when the story gets reduced to Demet and Can, yes or no, as if that were the measure of both their worth. For Demet, this reduction weighs even more because it takes her agency away. It turns her into a character in a fan novel instead of a professional with her own path. And I think she's tried quite clearly to cut that cord without dramatic statements. She simply kept working, chose different directions, changed registers. You might like it more or less, but she's not someone waiting for the past to rescue her. She gives me the opposite sense. Someone who doesn't want to live imprisoned by a single success. There's also something I value in Demet that often goes unnoticed. Her intuition for connecting with the public without becoming a slave to the public. She knows how to be close, she knows how to handle her image, but I don't feel she's become a machine for media provocation. In a world where many actors live off controversy, she seems more selective with her energy. That has a cost. She doesn't generate daily headlines like others, so some people underestimate her or think she faded out. I don't interpret it that way. I read it as self-protection, as setting boundaries, as refusing to hand herself over entirely to the spectacle. And to me, that isn't weakness. It's smart survival. So in summary, my impression of Demet Özdemir is that of a woman who's had to learn to walk with extra weight on her back. The weight of constant comparison, the weight of an industry that romanticizes an actress only as long as she doesn't disturb. The weight of a fandom that sometimes loves her and sometimes cages her. And still, she keeps moving forward. Maybe not with Cannes thunder, maybe without proclaiming the role of my life, but with a perseverance that feels very real to me. Demet doesn't need anyone's shadow to shine. What she needs is to be allowed to shine on her own terms. And as a viewer, I'd rather follow that road than stay tied to nostalgia.